500,000 square kilometers that has not been investigated yet. We are just, I think, looking at the edges of a mystery. We have forgotten so much more about ourselves than we remember.
Those things could literally eat a person.
Yeah.
Ever wondered if those strange, legendary creatures from old stories might have been real? Long ago, people spotted strange animals and couldn't figure them out. As tales of these mysterious creatures spread, they grew into wild legends and mythical beasts. What if I told you that some mythical beings might be real animals we still know today? Countless animal species are yet to be discovered, and many of the creatures people once saw could have been part of this hidden world. Let's get into some of these mythical creatures. Dragon. Dragons are some of the most famous mythical creatures. They come in many shapes and sizes, but most stories describe them as having reptile-like bodies, bat-like wings, and sharp claws. They're also known for breathing fire. So why do so many different cultures have stories about dragons, each with its twist on what they look like? These varied descriptions might come from real creatures that lived long ago. Early people found fossils of large, ancient reptiles and used these remains to create their dragon stories. Some of these creatures were enormous, others smaller, with different features like wings or sharp claws. But, as exciting as it sounds, none of them could breathe fire. Dragons are often seen as fearsome or magical beings in the myths of various cultures. Western stories usually picture them with wings and fire-breathing abilities, while Eastern tales describe them as wise, wingless serpents. These mythical dragons may have originated from real, ancient animals that sparked imagination and wonder. Narwhals. In the Middle Ages and Renaissance, people went crazy over unicorn horns, believing they had magical powers. But guess what? Those legendary horns were narwhal tusks. Narwhals are Arctic whales with long, twisted tusks that the Vikings hunted and sold at outrageous prices, keeping their true origin a secret. In 1577, explorer Martin Frobisher found a dead narwhal in Canada and called it a sea unicorn, later gifting the tusk to the Queen. Narwhal tusks are amazing. They are sensitive teeth with up to 10 million nerve endings. Some narwhals have one tusk, while others have none, and these spiral tusks can grow up to 10 feet long. Narwhals live in the freezing Arctic waters of Canada, Greenland, Norway, and Russia. They dive deep into the icy ocean, hunting for fish, squid, and shrimp. As narwhals age, their color changes from blue-gray to nearly white. The myth of the unicorn came from real narwhals. When explorers like Frobisher and anatomists like Tulpius saw these creatures, they mistook their tusks for magical unicorn horns, sparking the legendary tales we know today. Mermaids. Mermaids, the enchanting half-human, half-fish beings of sailor tales, have captivated imaginations for centuries. But did you know that these mythical creatures might be real, just not in the way you think? Even Christopher Columbus claimed to have spotted 3 mermaids on his voyage to America, though he said they had some masculine traits. Strange, right? It turns out that the so-called mermaids Columbus and others saw were manatees, or their close relatives, dugongs, giant, gentle sea creatures also known as sea cows. These marine mammals can grow up to 6 feet long, about human size. With their flippers that resemble human hands, the ability to turn their necks, and their fish-like tails, it's easy to see how sailors might mistake them for mermaids. While not as magical as the legends, these real-life mermaids still inspire wonder about the ocean's mysteries. Unicorns. Unicorns, those magical horses with a single horn, have always been the stuff of legends. But what if I told you they were real? Well, sort of. The myth's unicorns might have been inspired by something much less graceful, a rhinoceros. Take the Siberian unicorn, for instance. This creature wasn't a sleek, elegant horse, but a massive 4-ton beast with a huge horn in its head. It lived in Eurasia, around 39,000 years ago, long before it went extinct. Unlike the gentle unicorns of fairy tales, this rhino was tough and probably quite mean. Thankfully, it preferred to snack on shrubs rather than humans, though you wouldn't want to get too close. Sea serpent. The sea serpent, a terrifying creature of legend, has haunted sailors' imaginations for centuries. Their monstrous snakefish hybrid, slithering through the waves with a horse-like head, rising in massive humps from the deep. Tales of these beasts were told across cultures, painting them as the terror of the seas. But what if these stories had a grain of truth? The so-called sea serpent might be the oarfish. This real-life fish looks eerily like a snake, stretching up to 30 feet, making it the longest bony fish in the ocean. Unlike the fierce creature of legend, the oarfish is a gentle giant, feeding on small marine creatures like krill. It lives deep underwater, so we know very little about it, but its size and unusual appearance were likely enough to inspire the fearful tales of sea serpents that spread across the world. Yeti, abominable snowman.
He says he is proof that the Yeti, the abominable snowman of the Himalayas, is in fact real and its descendants are alive.
High in the icy peaks of the Himalayas, legends tell of the Yeti, a mysterious creature often called the abominable snowman. It is a massive, ape-like being, standing tall, with thick fur as white as snow, or sometimes brown or gray, blending perfectly into the frozen wilderness. Locals and explorers alike have whispered about this elusive beast for centuries, claiming to see its giant footprints in the snow or catching a glimpse of a shadowy figure moving through the mist. The Yeti is said to be both human and beast, with a broad, muscular build and a face that's part ape, part man. Some say it's as tall as 9 feet, with a forehead and a nose that give it a strangely familiar look. While sightings have been reported by climbers on Mount Everest and beyond, hard evidence remains as elusive as the creature itself. Yet, the tales persist, fueling the mystery of this legendary mountain dweller. Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Bigfoot, the legendary giant creature that haunts North America's forests, has captivated explorers and adventurers for centuries. Stories of this massive, hairy beast date back to ancient times, with reports of enormous footprints and mysterious sightings. Some say Bigfoot roams the Pacific Northwest, standing between 6 and 15 feet tall, with a strong smell and eerie cries that echo through the woods. But could Bigfoot be more than just a myth? Scientific evidence suggests that people might have seen a gorilla, not a mythical monster. Gorillas, first identified in 1847, could have been mistaken for Bigfoot in the dense forests. These huge, powerful animals could have inspired tales of the elusive Sasquatch. Though most scientists dismiss Bigfoot as a legend, the stories of this wild giant continue to fascinate and intrigue. Werewolf, a horrible creature that transforms from a man into a wolf on moonlit nights. This is the stuff of werewolf legends. In European folklore, werewolves are humans who change into fearsome wolves or wolf-like beings under the spell of a full moon or by a curse. These creatures might be able to shift shapes at will or be cursed to change against their will. In wolf form, they are considered fierce predators, preying on animals, people, or even corpses. But the twist is, if a werewolf is hurt while in wolf form, those wounds also appear on its human body, revealing its secret. While some stories show werewolves as mindless beasts, older tales often describe them as intelligent and cunning. Whether driven by magic or a curse, the werewolf remains one of folklore's most chilling and captivating figures. Vampire deer, a creature that seems like it stepped out of a dark fairy tale. Yes, it's vampire deer. Officially called the water deer, this small animal from Korea and China has sharp, fang-like tusks instead of antlers, giving it its chilling nickname. These tusks look like long, sharp canine teeth. But despite their spooky appearance, vampire deer don't drink blood or pose any threat to humans. Standing just 2 to 3 feet tall, these deer are small but fascinating. Their unique tusks help them in their habitat, but they're not the bloodsuckers their name suggests. Their bodies are stocky, with powerful hind legs that give them a hoppy, almost bunny-like movement across the land. Male vampire deer use their tusks to compete for mates and protect themselves from threats. Although their tusks can cause serious injuries, fights usually don't end in death. These deer are named for their love of watery places, such as rivers and swamps, and they're excellent swimmers, able to cover 7 miles without stopping. Despite their eerie look, they adapt perfectly to their environment and continue to thrive. Chupacabra. Chupacabra, a strange creature that could be straight from a legend. In Latin American folklore, this monster is known for attacking animals and drinking their blood. The name Chupacabra means goatsucker, a hint of its eerie habits. The most common description of the Chupacabra is a reptile-like beast with scaly, greenish-gray skin and sharp spines running down its back. It's said to stand about 3 to 4 feet tall and move like a kangaroo. Another version is a hairless, wild, dog-like creature with a pronounced spine and fierce features. However, many of these so-called chupacabras are just animals with mange, which causes severe hair loss. Biologists have identified these unfortunate creatures as coyotes or dogs with this disease. Kraken.
It might sound like the stuff of legend, but this creature really did exist around 75 million years ago.
The Kraken, a terrifying sea monster from Scandinavian folklore, was said to lurk off the coasts of Norway and Greenland, waiting to destroy ships with its massive, tentacled arms. Sailors of old believed they had seen this mythical beast, but what they likely encountered was something very real: the giant squid. With its legendary ability to sink ships and drag crews to their doom, the Kraken is one of the most fearsome creatures ever imagined. It was described as a giant octopus-like creature that could create deadly whirlpools. But in reality, the Kraken was likely inspired by the giant squid, a deep-sea creature that can grow up to 18 meters long. In 1853, the giant squid became more than just a legend when its remains washed up on a beach in Denmark. Though far less dangerous than the stories suggest, the giant squid is still a mysterious and powerful creature, living in the deep ocean where few have ever seen it. Rhinoceros. Rhinos once roamed vast areas across Europe, Asia, and Africa, and early humans knew them well. Some even drew them in ancient cave paintings. At the start of the 20th century, there were around 500,000 rhinos in Africa and Asia, but by 1970, their numbers had dropped to just 70,000. Today, only about 27,000 remain in the wild, mostly in national parks and reserves, as poaching and habitat loss have driven them to the brink. These mighty creatures are some of the last remaining giants on Earth. With all adult rhinos weighing over a ton, they have thick, protective skin and are known for their iconic horns, which unfortunately make them targets for poachers. Rhinos mainly eat leaves, but can munch on tougher plants when needed. Interestingly, the two African species don't have front teeth. They use their lips to grab food instead. Tragically, because of poaching, most rhino species are now endangered. Platypus. In 1789, Captain John Hunter of the Royal Navy stumbled upon something so bizarre that he couldn't believe his eyes: a platypus pelt. He sent sketches back to Britain, but no one believed such a creature could exist. The idea of a duck-billed, beaver-tailed, egg-laying mammal seemed like a wild fantasy. English zoologist George Shaw was convinced it had to be a hoax, possibly some clever trick, but the platypus is very real and only found in Australia. This fascinating animal has the beak of a duck, the body of a beaver, and webbed feet like an otter. If that wasn't strange enough, the male platypus is one of the few venomous mammals with sharp stingers on its hind feet to defend against predators. Despite once being hunted for its fur, the platypus is now a protected species, though it faces threats from habitat destruction and pollution, making its future uncertain. Thunderbird. The thunderbird is a legendary bird-like spirit in Native American cultures, known for its immense power and strength. This mythical creature appears prominently in the art, songs, and stories of many tribes from the Pacific Northwest coast to the American Southwest, East Coast, Great Lakes, and Great Plains. According to legend, the Thunderbird makes thunder by flapping its wings and creates lightning with its eyes. It's often seen as a majestic bird of prey or a blend of human and bird. Thunderbirds are seen as protectors who help people, but also demand respect, prayers, and gifts. Petroglyphs of thunderbirds can be found near Twin Bluffs, Wisconsin, dating back to around 250 BCE. While it's a staple in North American myths, similar bird spirits are found in Africa, Asia, and Europe, often linked to the woodpecker. Pegasus. Pegasus is a legendary winged horse from ancient Greek mythology, often shown as a dazzling white stallion. Born from the blood of the Gorgon Medusa after she was slain by the hero Perseus, Pegasus was the offspring of the sea god Poseidon and Medusa. He shares his lineage with Chrysaor, another creature born from the same event. Pegasus stands out in Greek myths, not only for his horse-like body, but also for his magnificent wings, making him a symbol of both beauty and magic. Despite being linked to Poseidon, the sea god, Pegasus's creation was inspired by the flowing waves, which resembled a horse's mane. His name, Pegasus, might come from ancient Greek words meaning fountain or spring, referencing his extraordinary origins. Basilisk. In ancient myths, the basilisk, or cockatrice, was a terrifying serpent with a deadly gaze that could destroy anything it looked at. Today's basilisk is a real lizard with a dramatic twist. It sports a big inflatable crest on its head and is known for its remarkable ability to run across water. This real-life basilisk, sometimes called the Jesus Christ lizard, lives near streams and uses its speed and special toes to dash over water without sinking. The younger and lighter ones are the most likely to be seen sprinting across the surface. Besides its impressive running, the basilisk is also a strong swimmer, able to stay underwater for up to 30 minutes. With its unique traits, the real basilisk brings a touch of ancient legend to life. Leviathans. The Leviathan is a legendary sea monster from old tales. It's often shown as a giant, terrifying sea serpent or creature of chaos. But what if there's truth behind the legend? The name Leviathan comes from the Hebrew word for a massive sea serpent. In real life, giant sea creatures, like the colossal squid discovered in 2005, might have inspired these stories. The squid can grow up to 40 feet long, making it a true giant of the deep. In addition, the Titanic, a colossal ship of its time, is sometimes called a leviathan for its sheer size. Ancient people might have seen the fossils of giant sea reptiles or giant squids and thought they were dealing with sea monsters. Other theories suggest that big whales or strange sea phenomena could have sparked the tales of these mighty sea beasts. Sailors' tall tales and misidentifications also added to the Leviathan's mystique. Glaucus atlanticus. The Glaucus atlanticus, also known as the blue sea dragon or blue angel, is a mesmerizing sea slug with an otherworldly appearance. It floats in the open ocean upside down, using the water's surface tension to stay afloat. Its striking blue top blends perfectly with the ocean, while its silver-gray underside matches the sunlight reflecting off the water. This tiny creature preys on dangerous animals, like the Portuguese man of war. It absorbs their stinging cells, becoming a tiny living weapon. If disturbed, the Glaucus atlanticus can deliver a painful and dangerous sting to anyone handling it. Named after the Greek sea deity Glaucus, this sea slug's vivid color and clever camouflage make it both a marvel and a mystery of the deep. Tardigrade. Tardigrades, or water bears, are tiny, eight-legged creatures resembling adorable miniature bears. These microscopic marvels are found worldwide, from ocean depths to dry dunes. They live in damp environments like moss and lichens, earning them the nickname moss piglets. Remarkably tough, tardigrades can survive almost anything. They've been to outer space and can endure temperatures from nearly 0 to boiling. They can even go without food or water for up to 30 years. Their secret? A special protein called D-ZUP that shields their deoxyribonucleic acid from harm. With their tough outer shell and tiny claws, tardigrades cling to plants and sip nutrients, making them one of nature's most resilient and fascinating creatures. Superb bird of paradise. The superb bird of paradise is a real-life creature that looks like it stepped out of a fairy tale. This stunning bird, native to Indonesia, New Guinea, and parts of Australia, is famous for its incredible appearance. The male is all black, with long, flowing cape feathers that serve as a backdrop for his dazzling blue chest feathers. During courtship, he spreads these feathers in a dramatic display, showing off his iridescent shield to attract a mate. Females are much plainer, with brown feathers, and young males look like females until they mature and grow their vibrant plumage. When the breeding season begins, the male's spectacular dance and feather display are meant to impress and win over the female. This bird's colorful and elaborate appearance makes it a true marvel of nature. Thorny devil. The thorny devil is a real lizard from Australia that looks like something out of a fantasy. Known by names like the mountain devil or thorny dragon, this lizard is covered in sharp, spiky scales that make it look like a tiny dragon. It's about 8 inches long, and its spiky skin helps protect it from predators. The thorny devil's fake head on its neck is a clever trick, a soft, spiky lump that confuses predators when the lizard tucks its real head down. This lizard walks slowly, moving its tail up and down, which might also help it escape notice. Its colors blend with the desert sands, changing from light to dark, depending on the temperature. The thorny devil is a real-life marvel of nature, with its dragon-like appearance and smart defenses. Red uakari. The bald uakari is a small, eye-catching monkey from the Amazon rainforest. With a head so bare, it looks almost mythical, these primates sport striking red faces and a long, shaggy coat in shades from reddish-brown to orange. They live in South America's lush, water-rich forests, and though their tails are short, they move with surprising agility through the trees. Bald uakaris are social creatures, living in large troops of up to 100 members, though they break into smaller groups to forage for food during the day. Their diet mainly consists of fruit, but also munch on leaves and insects. These monkeys have strong jaws capable of cracking Brazil nuts, and often search the ground for fallen seeds and roots during dry spells. Sadly, these unique monkeys face threats from habitat destruction and hunting. They reproduce slowly, with only one baby every 2 years, making their survival even more precarious. Giant squid. The giant squid, once considered a sailor's tall tale, is a real and astonishing creature. This sea monster can grow up to 43 feet long, with tentacles stretching like something straight out of a nightmare. Imagine a creature the size of a school bus drifting through the ocean's dark depths. Despite their massive size, giant squids are rarely seen. They live so deep underwater that human encounters are extremely rare. Most of what we know comes from dead squids washed ashore or accidentally caught by fishermen. Found in oceans worldwide, giant squids are especially common near New Zealand, the Pacific Islands, and along the Atlantic coasts. The largest ever discovered was an incredible 59 feet long and weighed almost a ton. Their eyes are the biggest in the animal kingdom, nearly 10 inches across, helping them see in pitch-black waters. The eastern quoll.
A rare endangered species has been caught on camera wandering in Victoria's west. Rangers are excited after the tiger quoll made a surprise appearance in Parks Victoria's surveillance footage.
The eastern quoll used to be a common sight across mainland Australia, easily recognized by its sharp eyes and beautiful speckled fur. With its sleek body, it hunted quietly at night, going after insects, small mammals, birds, and reptiles. But now, it's incredibly rare to see one. By the mid-20th century, it completely vanished from the mainland, leaving only stories of its existence. The only place you could still find these creatures was on the island of Tasmania, that is, until recently. Just 2 years ago, something amazing happened. A trail camera captured a picture of a creature no one thought they'd see. A wild eastern call on the mainland, alive and well. This small nocturnal predator, about the size of a house cat, can grow up to 45 centimeters in body length, with a tail that adds another 30 centimeters. Its fur is covered with white spots against shades of brown, black, or fawn, giving it an almost magical look in the moonlight. It's hard to believe that such a striking animal could stay hidden from us for so long, but the eastern quoll has always been great at blending in. The Galapagos giant tortoise.
Oh my God, see how this bush is all flattened? An iguana couldn't do that. That's from a big tortoise shell, flattening all of this vegetation out and pushing over here. Look at that, look at the size of that. There's only one animal on this entire island that could do a dropping like that. It's bigger than my hand. That right there, this is 100% genetic proof that the animal is still alive.
For over a century, people thought the Fernandina Island tortoise was gone forever. This giant tortoise, native to the Galapagos Islands, was first discovered in 1906. But after years without any sightings, it was declared extinct. The main reasons: the volcanic activity that devastated the island and human interference. But as nature often does, it had other plans. In 2019, something amazing happened. A team of conservationists, led by biologist Forrest Galante, was exploring a remote part of Fernandina Island when they found something incredible.
You can see there's footprints right here. You can still see it's wet. I mean, it's here. There are tortoise here on Fernandina. Holy! Wow! Holy! The tortoise is right here! Wow!
A lone female tortoise. But this wasn't just any tortoise. It was the Fernandina Island tortoise, a species everyone thought was gone forever. Somehow it had survived all these years in hiding, avoiding both people and the harsh environment. The rediscovery shocked the scientific community. How could a species believed to be extinct for over 100 years still be alive? And if this one tortoise made it, could there be more hiding out there? Since then, conservationists have been searching the island, hoping to find more of these elusive giants. The goal? To rebuild a breeding population and give this species a second chance at survival. The Cuban Solenodon. The Cuban Solenodon is more than just a rare animal. It's a living relic. This strange, night-loving mammal has been wandering the forests of Cuba since the time of the dinosaurs. Imagine a creature whose ancestors roamed the earth over 60 million years ago. And yet, here it is, still hanging on in today's modern world. But survival hasn't been easy for this odd little mammal. With a body that looks like a mix between a rat and a shrew, the Solenodon has been fighting against environmental changes and human threats for years. The Solenodon family, the Solenodontidae, was once thriving, but now only 2 species are left. These creatures are so rare and secretive that spotting one feels almost like finding a mythical animal. The Cuban Solenodon has a long snout and sharp teeth, making it a skilled hunter of insects during the night, moving carefully through the underbrush, always on alert. Today, trail cameras give us our only real look at this incredible animal, wandering in its quiet, hidden parts of the island. Australian night parrot.
The science world is buzzing over the discovery of a bird once thought to be extinct. The night parrot, caught in a fence in outback WA, sadly died, but the find is of huge significance.
For over 100 years, the Australian night parrot was thought to be a ghost. With its green and yellow feathers and secretive nature, it was like a living shadow, disappearing without a trace in the early 1900s. By 1912, it was officially declared extinct. But as the years went by, whispers and rumors of sightings in the outback started to spread. Was the bird gone? Or was it just hiding, waiting to be found again? In 1990, an ornithologist named John Young made a shocking claim. He had found signs of the rare parrot in Queensland. Feathers and nesting spots hinted that the bird might still be alive, but there was no solid proof. Then, in 2013, Young made an announcement that stunned everyone. He had captured photos and video of a live night parrot. For the first time in over a century, the long-lost bird had been seen again, with its bright colors and small, delicate body showing it was still out there, surviving against all odds. Number 5. The Pinocchio lizard. High up in the misty cloud forests of Ecuador, there's a creature that seems straight out of a fairy tale, the Pinocchio lizard. First discovered in 1953, this small tree-dwelling reptile, officially known as Anolis proboscis, amazed researchers with its strange appearance. The male lizard has a long, fleshy snout, earning it the nickname Pinocchio lizard, as it resembles the nose of Pinocchio, the puppet whose nose grew when he lied. But this lizard story is no fairy tale. It's a real-life mystery. After it was first found, the Pinocchio lizard seemed to vanish, leaving scientists puzzled. For over 50 years, no one saw this odd-looking reptile again. Then, in 2005, a group of Ecuadorian and American researchers rediscovered it in the same cloud forests where it had first been seen. This find sent a wave of excitement through the scientific community. How had this strange lizard managed to stay hidden for so long? The Pinocchio lizard is an expert at blending into its surroundings, using the thick forest canopy as its hiding place. Its rediscovery shows that even in a world where we think we've seen it all, there are still amazing creatures waiting to be found. But this lizard's survival depends on the safety of its delicate home. The cloud forests of Ecuador face constant threats from deforestation, and the Pinocchio lizard could disappear again, this time for good. The Amura's whale. The vast, mysterious oceans of our world still hold secrets, and Amura's whale is proof of that. First identified by Japanese scientists in 2003, this whale species was initially thought to be a subspecies of the Bride's whale. But further genetic analysis revealed something unexpected. Amura's whale was a distinct species. This discovery was named in honor of Hideo Omura, a renowned Japanese cetologist who dedicated his life to the study of whales. For years, Omura's whale remained an enigma, with only a handful of records to go by. But in 2015, the world was astonished when researchers spotted this elusive whale off the coast of Madagascar. Not only were multiple sightings documented, but scientists also captured the first ever photographs and videos of Amura's whales in the wild. This was like finding a living fossil in the ocean, a species thought to be practically invisible, now swimming before our very eyes. Measuring between 10 to 12 meters in length, Amura's whale is small for a baleen whale. Its distinctive feature? The asymmetrical coloring on its jaw. One side is white, while the other is darker, giving it a striking and unique appearance. The Baiji dolphin. The Baiji, also called the Yangtze River dolphin, is a sad reminder of what we could lose as our world keeps changing. These freshwater dolphins once thrived in China's Yangtze River, their pale blue-gray skin gliding smoothly through the water. Known as the goddess of the Yangtze in Chinese folklore, their long, narrow beaks and small eyes gave them an almost otherworldly look. But their story is one filled with tragedy. The Baiji lived in the Yangtze River for around 20 million years, surviving countless natural changes. But by the mid-20th century, as China quickly industrialized, The once clear waters of the Yangtze turned polluted and crowded with boats. The river, that had been the Baiji's home for millions of years, became a dangerous place. Their numbers dropped fast, and by 2006, things looked bleak. That year, an international team of scientists set out on a 6-week search of the Yangtze River, hoping to find any remaining Baiji dolphins. They searched almost the entire river, but found nothing. The Baiji, once a graceful symbol of life in China's rivers, was declared functionally extinct. Yet rumors persist. Could a few Baiji still be hiding somewhere in the vast, murky waters of the Yangtze? Although the official story says they're gone, some hold on to the hope that this ghostly dolphin might one day be seen again. The thylacine. Once roaming across Australia and Tasmania, the thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger, was a unique creature unlike anything else. Though it looked a bit like a wolf, this marsupial predator was more closely related to kangaroos and koalas. It had a slender body, a stiff tail, and dark stripes running along its back, which gave it a striking appearance and earned it its nickname. But despite its fierce looks, the thylacine's downfall came because of humans. When European settlers arrived in Australia in the late 18th century, they found that the thylacine had already vanished from the mainland, likely due to competition with dingoes and hunting by indigenous people. Tasmania, however, was its last refuge. But even there, the pressures didn't stop. As settlers brought livestock, thylacines were blamed for attacking sheep, leading to widespread hunting. In 1930, the last known wild thylacine was killed by a farmer in Tasmania. Even though the thylacine seemed to disappear, it never left people's minds. For decades after its presumed extinction, reports of sightings kept coming in. The last known thylacine, a male named Benjamin, lived at Hobart Zoo until he died in 1936. The coelacanth. The story of the coelacanth seems almost impossible to believe. This ancient fish, with its unique lobed fins that look more like legs than regular fish fins, swam the oceans for millions of years. But around 66 million years ago, it disappeared from the fossil record. Scientists thought it had gone extinct, along with the dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous period. The coelacanth was thought to be lost forever, known only from fossils. That is, until 1938, when a South African fisherman caught something unexpected, a living coelacanth. The discovery shocked the world. How could a fish believed to be extinct for millions of years still be alive? It was later named Latimeria chalumnae, after Marjorie Courtenay Latimer, the museum curator who recognized its significance. The coelacanth became known as a living fossil, a direct link to the ancient world, still swimming in today's oceans. The takahe. The takahe is a remarkable bird from New Zealand with a truly amazing comeback story. For years, it was thought to be extinct, but its story took a surprising turn. By 1898, it was believed the takahe was gone forever. Then, in 1948, a huge discovery was made that brought it back into the spotlight. This bird, known for its striking blue feathers, strong legs, and big red bill, was rediscovered in the remote Murchison Mountains of Fiordland National Park. Back in the late 19th century, the takahe was found all over New Zealand's South Island. But hunting, invasive animals, and habitat destruction led to its dramatic decline. By the turn of the century, people thought it was completely gone. The rediscovery in 1948 by Dr. Jeffrey Orbell and his team was nothing short of amazing. They found a small group of takahes still living in a hidden part of the mountains. This news sparked a lot of excitement and renewed hope for the bird's future. Since then, dedicated efforts have been made to save the takahe. The the New Zealand Department of Conservation set up breeding programs, controlled predators, and created protected areas to help the species bounce back. These hard work efforts have paid off. By 2022, the takahe population had grown to nearly 300 birds. The New Guinea singing dog. The New Guinea singing dog is different from any other dog you've ever heard of. It's not just about its fox-like look, but the way it sings. Yes, you heard that right. This dog doesn't just bark or howl like other dogs. Its vocal sounds rise and fall almost like it's singing a song, which is pretty unique. But for many years, people thought the New Guinea singing dog had disappeared from the wild completely. By the 1950s, these dogs became so rare in their natural home, in the rugged mountains of New Guinea, that many believed they had gone extinct. However, a few of these singing dogs managed to survive in captivity. In the mid-1900s, some of them were caught and sent to zoos and breeding centers around the world. For a long time, it seemed like these captive dogs were the last of their kind, until something amazing happened in the early 2000s. Researchers exploring some of the most remote areas of New Guinea's highlands found evidence that these wild dogs were still out there. They collected DNA samples, took photos, and even saw some of the dogs themselves. It was the confirmation that many had been hoping for. The New Guinea singing dogs were still alive in the wild. The Pondicherry shark. When we think of sharks, we usually think of big, powerful predators. But the Pondicherry shark was a bit different. This small shark, found in the warm coastal waters of the Indo-Pacific region, was special in its quiet way. It had a slender body, a rounded snout, and teeth that were a bit like a saw. One of its key features was the black tip on its dorsal fin, which helped people identify it. But by the end of the 20th century, the Pondicherry shark seemed to have vanished, with only a few preserved specimens left to prove it had ever existed. The last confirmed sighting of a Pondicherry shark was way back in 1979. For decades after that, despite many searches, no one could find any trace of it. The rise of modern fishing techniques and the destruction of its habitat seemed to have pushed this quiet little shark to the edge of extinction. By 2016, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, officially listed it as critically endangered or possibly extinct. The Zanzibar leopard. The Zanzibar leopard was once the top predator on Zanzibar Island. People both feared and admired it. With its slender body and lighter coat, marked by soft, subtle spots, it looked quite different from the leopards you'd see on the mainland. It was perfectly adapted to the island's different landscapes, from thick forests to open, grassy areas. But as more people moved into the leopard's territory, conflicts began. By the middle of the 20th century, fear and superstition about the leopard led to widespread hunting. On top of that, its habitat was being destroyed, pushing this mysterious animal closer and closer to extinction. The last confirmed sighting of the Zanzibar leopard was many years ago, and for a long time, people thought it had gone extinct. But rumors kept swirling that a few might still be hiding in the island's most remote areas. Then, a surprising video appeared showing what looked like a Zanzibar leopard moving through the bushes. This unexpected footage has sparked new hope among wildlife experts. The Rio Apaporis caiman. The Rio Apaporis caiman shows just how strong and resilient nature can be. This small but powerful crocodile lives in the Amazon basin of Colombia and was once thought to be gone forever. With its sturdy body, short snout, and unique color patterns that help it blend into the wetlands, this caiman was hard to spot in every sense of the word. It might only grow to about 1.5 to 2 meters, smaller than many other crocodile species. But don't be fooled. It was once a top predator in its home. By the early 2000s, things were looking bleak for the Rio Apaporis caiman. Deforestation, human activities, and climate change were all taking a toll. On top of that, people hunted the caiman, pushing it closer to extinction. For years, there were no sightings, and many believed it had disappeared from the earth. Then, in 2015, something amazing happened. After years of searching, researchers found small populations of the caiman deep in Colombia's wetlands. This rediscovery wasn't just luck. It came after years of hard work by conservationists, long field surveys, and cooperation with local communities. Seeing the Rio Apaporis caiman alive after all those years gave new hope to everyone working to protect the Amazon's unique wildlife, the silver-backed chevrotain. Imagine a creature so rare and secretive that it was once thought to be just a myth of the forest. The silver-backed chevrotain, or silver-backed mouse deer, is one of the smallest hoofed animals on the planet. Found in the dense forests of West Africa, this little creature looks almost magical. It weighs only about 2 to 3 kilograms and is no taller than a small house cat. Its fur has a silver-gray shine that catches the light under the forest canopy, giving it its name. By the late 20th century, the silver-backed chevrotain had almost completely disappeared. The thick forest that once hid it became a danger zone, with humans cutting down trees, building roads, and hunting them. For over 30 years, no one saw a single one, leading many to think it had silently gone extinct. Then, in 2019, something amazing happened. A group of researchers from the Global Wildlife Conservation and the Zoological Society of London decided to search for this lost animal. They set up camera traps deep in the forest, hoping for a miracle. And guess what? They got it. They captured video footage of a real, living silver-backed chevrotain. Suddenly, this ghost of the forest was real again. This moment was one of the most exciting events in wildlife history, the La Palma giant lizard. The La Palma giant lizard was once the ruler of the rocky lands of the Canary Islands. This lizard, found only on the volcanic island of La Palma, could grow up to 70 centimeters long, making it one of the biggest lizards in the Canary Islands. With its strong body, long tail, and powerful legs, it was made for life in tough, rocky terrain. But by the early 1990s, the lizard seemed to vanish. Its home was being destroyed, cats and rats moved in, and humans kept disturbing its space, pushing it closer to the edge of extinction. For years, no one spotted the La Palma giant lizard. It was declared extinct in the wild, and people gave up hope. But nature has its own plans. In 2007, after decades without any sightings, researchers found a small group of these lizards living in a remote part of La Palma that no one had explored before. This unexpected discovery amazed scientists and gave new hope to those working to protect wildlife. Honshu wolf. The Honshu wolf was a small but mighty predator that once roamed Japan's Honshu Island. This unique subspecies of the grey wolf wasn't like the big wolves found in places like North America or Europe. It was a lot smaller, only about 50 centimeters tall at the shoulder, and weighed between 10 to 15 kilograms. Its size made it quick and agile, perfect for the dense forests and rocky mountains of Honshu, Japan's largest island. But by the early 1900s, the Honshu wolf disappeared. The last confirmed sighting happened in the 1920s, and by the 1930s, it was officially declared extinct. Javan tiger. The Javan tiger was once the king of Indonesia's Java Island. This striking predator was smaller than its relatives on the mainland, but its deep orange fur with black stripes made it look fierce and powerful. Male Javan tigers weighed between 90 and 140 kilograms, while the females were a bit lighter, weighing 65 to 100 kilograms. These tigers roamed Java's thick jungles and rugged mountains, where they played a crucial role as the top predator, keeping the populations of deer and wild boar in check. Sadly, in the mid-20th century, things took a turn for the worse. Deforestation, expanding human settlements, and poaching for their fur and other parts led to a steep decline in their numbers. By the 1970s, with no confirmed sightings and their habitat shrinking fast, the Javan tiger was declared extinct. Java, once home to this incredible predator, had lost its most iconic big cat. But that wasn't the end of the story. Over the years, there have been scattered reports of possible sightings in Java's remote forests. These reports have kept hope alive among conservationists and tiger lovers who wonder if a few tigers might still be out there, hidden in the dense jungle. Woolly flying squirrel. Imagine a creature so rare that for most of the 20th century, scientists thought it was a ghost of the Himalayas. That's the woolly flying squirrel. This little animal managed to stay hidden from the world for decades, leaving behind only a few old museum specimens from the late 1800s. But in an amazing twist of fate, this elusive creature was rediscovered in the 1990s, surprising everyone and renewing interest in its conservation and the fragile ecosystems it calls home. The woolly flying squirrel is a pretty big deal, literally. It can grow up to 60 centimeters long, and its tail is nearly as long as its body, covered in thick, woolly fur that ranges from gray to brown. It stays warm in the biting cold of the Himalayas. But unlike most flying squirrels that glide through the treetops, this one is a bit different. It's specially adapted for life on steep, rocky cliffs, mainly in northern Pakistan. Its large, fluffy tail helps it keep its balance as it moves around the rugged mountains, and its unique fur blends in perfectly with its surroundings, making it a master at camouflage. In 1994, Dr. Peter Zahler and his team made a groundbreaking discovery while surveying wildlife in the region. They found the woolly flying squirrel alive and well. This finding was a huge moment in conservation biology. It proved that despite all odds, some species can survive even in the most remote and challenging places on Earth. The quagga. The quagga, a special kind of plain zebra, once wandered the grasslands of South Africa with its unique look, stripes on its front half that gradually faded into a solid brown on its back half. This made it stand out as one of the most recognizable animals in the African savanna. Sadly, because of overhunting and the loss of its habitat, the quagga went extinct by the late 19th century. For over 100 years, people believed the quagga was gone for good, surviving only in old pictures and stuffed museum specimens. But then, something incredible happened. The quagga became a symbol of hope and scientific innovation through a daring project known as the Quagga Project. This initiative started in 1987 by a South African conservationist named Reinhold Rau, aimed to bring back an animal that looked like the extinct quagga by selectively breeding plains zebras. The idea wasn't to bring the quagga back from the dead exactly, but to recreate its unique coat pattern and appearance. After many generations of careful breeding, the Quagga Project managed to produce zebras that closely resembled the quagga, with stripes that fade into solid brown, just like the original. These zebras, called Rau quaggas, aren't the same as the quagga genetically, but they look a lot like them. This achievement was a huge step forward in the world of conservation and de-extinction, and showed what could be done with science and careful breeding. Even though the original quagga may never return, these Rao quaggas remind us of the quagga that once was. Amami rabbit. The Amami rabbit, a real-life relic from the past, rocks its old school on the Japanese islands of Amami Oshima and Tokunoshima. Dubbed a living fossil, this rabbit hasn't changed its look for millions of years. That's right, while we evolved, this bunny clung to its Ice Age vibes with features like stumpy legs, teeny ears, and goth-like dark fur. We're talking vintage from 30,000 to 18,000 years ago. Despite surviving the ages, these furry time capsules are on the edge, thanks to habitat wrecking, mongoose invasions, and too much human meddling. It's a tough gig when your home shrinks and predators lurk around every corner. Back in 1921, Japan stepped up, tagging the Amami rabbit as a special natural monument. That's some solid legal armor, but let's be real, it's a jungle out there, and habitat loss is still the big bad in this drama. Conservationists are hustling hard, trying to keep these ancient bunnies and their unique island digs from becoming just another forgotten tale. Cycads. You won't believe this, but those funky-looking plants that seem ripped straight out of a dinosaur flick, the cycads, yeah, they're not only old school, they're practically living fossils. I mean, these bad boys have been kicking it since the Carboniferous period. That's over 300 million years ago. You might think these plants, which totally look like palm trees, but aren't, have just been chilling unchanged since the dinosaurs roamed. Wrong. Some brainy folks over at UC Berkeley cracked the case wide open, revealing that today's cycads only started doing their own thing about 12 million years ago, way after the dinos said their goodbyes. So yeah, while they're old lineage-wise, these modern cycads are like the new kids on the block. Despite them being around for ages, our current cycads are facing a tough time. Thanks to habitat loss and some shady illegal trade moves, they're sliding into the endangered zone. We need to step up our game and protect these links to Earth's prehistoric drama if we want to keep their story going. Crinoids. Can you believe these sea lilies, or crinoids as the eggheads call them, have been kicking it in the ocean for about 485 million years? Yeah, these ancient critters date back to the mid-Cambrian period, and let me tell you, they've seen it all from the Paleozoic to the Mesozoic eras. Now, some smarty pants in Crawfordsville, Indiana, stumbled upon these well-preserved crinoid fossils, which are around 350 million years old. These fossils give us a sneak peek into a world where crinoids were the rock stars of the sea, diverse and abundant, with their plant-like get-ups stemming down to the seafloor and flaunting feathery arms for catching dinner. Despite their old-school origin, crinoids aren't just relics. Some still thrive in today's oceans, though they're not as flashy or plentiful as they used to be. Researchers have been digging into how these living fossils managed to stick around for nearly 500 million years. They had some clever tricks, like tearing, spreading out in the water column to dodge the competition back in the day. Gars. These prehistoric-looking gars are like the time travelers of the fish world, rocking the same elongated bodies and wicked sharp teeth for over 150 million years. They first popped up during the Jurassic period, and it's like they hit pause on the evolutionary remote. They're practically swimming fossils. Research shows these bad boys have the slowest molecular evolution game among all jawed vertebrates. Why mess with perfection, right? Their DNA repair skills are top-notch, blocking those pesky mutations that usually push evolution forward. This superpower lets gars keep it real, maintaining their ancient vibes while thriving across North America. And get this, two gar species can whip up viable hybrids even after going their separate ways over 100 million years ago. That's like family reunions on steroids. This not only puts gars in the living fossil VIP lounge, but also gives scientists some juicy insights into how some creatures just don't bother with change, sticking it out through Earth's major makeovers. Lampreys. These creepy eel-like creatures called lampreys are basically dinosaurs among us. They've been slinking around for a whopping 360 million years without much of an update. These jawless wonders are like something straight out of sci-fi horror, sticking to other fish with their sucker mouths and feeding like ancient vampires. Fossils, especially those cool finds like the Priscomyzon rheniensis in South Africa, show these guys haven't changed much since their Devonian heyday. That's over 360 million years of just chilling and keeping it real, while everything else evolved or went extinct. Michael Coates from the University of Chicago and Bruce Rubidge from the University of Witwatersrand dropped the news that lampreys have been mooching off others way longer than we thought, adding a whole 35 million years to their resume. Today, around 50 species worldwide are still living out their ancient lifestyles in rivers and seas, looking pretty much the same as their fossil ancestors. It's wild to think these living fossils are still around, schooling us on survival and evolution without changing their game one bit. The bristlecone pine. The bristlecone pine, especially the badass Great Basin bristlecone pine, Pinus longeva, is like the Chuck Norris of trees. These gnarly old-timers have been hanging tough for over 5,000 years, making them the oldest solo warriors on Earth, not just cloning their way through the ages like some plants do. Found chilling in the sky-high playgrounds of California, Nevada, and Utah, these trees have been bossing it through ice ages and heat waves, thanks to their mad survival skills and rock-hard tolerance for brutal climates and crummy soil. Back in the 50s, this brainiac named Edmund Schulman from the Laboratory of Tree Ring Research started geeking out over these trees. He figured out you could snoop into past climates by studying their rings, like reading nature's own history book. Some of these wooden ancients were already old when humans were just figuring out how to build stuff like Stonehenge and the pyramids. There's this famous tree, Methuselah, who's been around for a whopping 4,800 years. Then there was Prometheus, who was cut down in 1964 but showed he was over 4,900 years old. Talk about a senior moment. These trees are legit living fossils, giving scientists the dirt on Earth's past climates and all the drama over thousands of years. Ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo biloba is like the OG of trees, having rocked the same look for over 200 million years. This bad boy first popped up in the Jurassic period's fossil record, standing as the last warrior of a plant group that used to rule the green scene. Despite mass extinctions that knocked out the dinosaurs and loads of others, this leafy legend has stuck around, linking us straight to Earth's ancient days. Ginkgo biloba's tale as a living fossil isn't just about sticking it out through the ages, it's about how it barely changed a leaf. Researchers have dug up fossilized ginkgo leaves that are pretty much twins with today's versions. And in 2016, when scientists cracked open its genetic diary, they found a massive and complex code, proving this tree is no pushover when it comes to survival. Rediscovered by Western science in the late 17th century, thanks to the German botanist Engelbert Kempfer, this tree isn't just a blast from the past. It's a survivor, thriving in today's city jungles, where other trees tap out. Ginkgo biloba isn't just living history, it's a hardcore survivor, giving us a window into the plant world's fight through time. What do you think about this incredible discovery? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video fascinating, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more mind-blowing discoveries, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.